Hello and welcome, fellow bookworms and film fans. It's that time of the week again. This week's episode, we are looking at Coraline. Now, the novella itself was released in 2002 and the film was released in 2009. Now, as per usual, I will be scaling this on 5 major things. Obviously, character representation, setting, plot. Does the film stand in its own right? And overall, how well has the film encapsulated the book? Now, bear in mind there will always be spoilers within the episodes, as I do always discuss in full the film and the book. Now, we're going to start off with character representation. Now, in this one, it is an animation film, so I'm not going to go into too much details about the character representation. You have all of the characters are specifically described. So you've got like the slightly pudgier dad, you've got the weird, slightly larger Mrs. Spink and Miss Forcible, you've got the mum who's a little bit sharper, you've got Coraline herself. None have actually, they don't really describe any characteristics as such. And the film itself has sort of like taken its own spin on how they think they're going to do it. Absolutely brilliantly done. The only thing is that they do add 3 new characters in the film that we never come across in the book. Now, the first one is YB. Now, YB is YB born. In the film, he's Coraline's friend, and he gives Coraline the creepy little doll, who is I'll talk about in a second. His grandma owns the Pink Palace. Again, I'll talk about her in a second. And he himself is sort of like the person that introduces her to like this crazy little world, because he gives her the doll. He then sort of like introduces her to the cat, even though the cat's not really his. It's just little things like that. Like in the other world, he's the one that helps her so that she can escape the other mother's clutches. But he's just not there in the book whatsoever, not even in the slightest little bit. The second character is YB's grandma. Now, YB's grandma is described as own in the Pink Palace, which in the book is actually Coraline's grandma and not YB's grandma at all. In fact, YB, as I said, and his grandma don't exist. She lost her sister when she was younger. And that's not really seen in the film. I mean, in the book either. And it's just sort of like she's, again, not a character that exists. Now, character number 3, I'm going to call the Coraline doll. And I know she's a doll, but if anyone's seen the film, they know that she's sort of like, she's the reason why Coraline goes and checks out the door. And at the beginning, it starts with the other mother sort of like creating a Coraline doll from the remains of YB's grandma's sister's doll. And I actually got that doll for my sister as well for a housewarming gift, because why wouldn't you? And so these 3 characters are added in the film and not present in the book. But for the actual representation in regards to sort of like their characteristics, who they are, how they act, I think it's very well done. Very well done. I mean, the only reason why I'm not going into too much detail, because as I said, in the book, they're not really described as much. And the animation has a little bit of carte blanche with what it can do. I love the fact that the animators made the decision to go with blue hair for Coraline, because obviously she's never said as having blue hair in the book, but I think that really, really brings something out. And I don't know what, but we just like, I like the blue hair. I appreciate that. As one who's not with her natural hair colour in the slightest anymore, can't even remember what it is. It's brunette. So I do like that they sort of like took their own little like spin on things. And when the other mother's starting to become more fractured and realizing that she's probably not got Coraline to stay forever, she starts to become more spider-like, which I really appreciate in the film. And again, in the book, she's not really described as going that far in the transformation. It's just she's described as becoming sharper and having like sharper claws. So it is just little things that they took there. But out of all, I'm very happy. It's very hard to get animated characters wrong, to be fair. Not impossible, but it is very hard. So I'm willing to give it a 10 out of 10 for character representation. Even though they added 3 characters, because the characters that they did have, they did very well. Now, setting, again, is an animated film. It's in an undescribed time. It's set primarily in the Pink Palace and the other dimension, which is basically the Pink Palace in this other mother's life. And then we find the door that takes them between the alternative worlds. And again, this is 100% spot on. Nothing really wrong here at all. Even where they find the mum and the dad is in a snow globe. You've got the mirror. You've got all these little bits that sort of like in the book is mentioned. And they have got that in the film as well. So again, with setting, I'll give it a 10 out of 10. Now, plot. Now, plot is fluffed out quite a bit. As the book, as I said, it's a novella. So it is quite small. Now, there are quite a lot of differences. But also it does keep a few of the bigger points. They keep them the same. Now, in the film, it starts with the family moving in. In the book, they're already there. Now, in the book, Coraline tries to find things to do on a rainy day. So she's gone exploring. She finds the well. Then in the book, so she goes out. She finds the tennis court. She finds the well. She goes on from there. And then it's on a rainy day that she's sort of like scampering around the house and she's bothering her mum and bothering her dad. And she finds this little door, which is obviously, as we know, the door to the portal. And in the book, she sees Miss Spink and Miss Forcible before she goes through the door. And from the start, they give her this little rock with a hole in it, which helps her to see clearly. In the film, she doesn't get that till much later on, till after the parents have disappeared. So it is sort of like there are little bits here and there that, again, the film has had to fluff out a bit. Now, the first time that Coraline goes through the door is so different. So in the film, it starts... so in the film, she goes through several times. And she sees 3 wonders. She sees a garden that was made specifically for her that looks exactly like her face and her hair. She sees Miss Forcible and Miss Spink doing like their performance, and then she sees also Mr. Bobinski with the mouse circus, and each time she goes, oh, that's lovely, she falls asleep and she wakes up in her own house. So she does this at night. She goes through the door at night, wakes up and thinks it's all a dream, realizes it's not. Now in the book, she goes through once during the day, and when she goes through, she encounters everything at once. And at the end of that day, the mum goes, if you want to stay here forever, buttons for eyes. She goes, no, I'm all right, thanks, and leaves. In the film, it's sort of like at the end of the 3rd visit when she goes, right, you're going to want buttons for eyes now if you want to stay here forever and ever and ever. And again, Coraline goes, no, I'm all right, thanks, and leaves. So it is very different. I can see why the film did it the way they did. Because they are building up this world. They're showing little nuggets of this world, whereas in the book it's sort of like it can be done all at once, because it is such a short little story. Now, you've also got the cat is in both narratives. In both narratives, you've got the black cat. Now, in our world, Coraline's world, he can't speak. Cats can't speak. And he sort of like plays around, sort of like, and then she encounters him in the other world and he can speak, and she becomes friends with him and he ends up helping her. He helps her more in the book than he does in the film, because in the film you've got Wybie helping her as well, but in the book you have got this cat that's running around and helping her, which is really sweet. And you also get the scene where she throws the cat at the other mother because the other mother doesn't like cats, which I thought was a bit cruel to the cat, but what do I know? I'm not trying to escape a scary witch woman. So you've got that is exactly the same in both narratives. They've kept the cat the same. But then in regards to the book, when she goes through, you see the rats straight away, whereas in the film they're portrayed as being jumping mice, and then we find out later that they're rats. In the book, it's just straight away they're rats, and she's okay with that. I would not in a million years, but she's okay with it, and she follows the rats through. In the book, again, you've got Miss Spink and Miss Forcible's performance. The only difference is in the film, it's got a definite end to it. She sort of like claps and then leaves. In the book, it just keeps going on and on and on and on till the end of time. So with this, you know, she just gets up and leaves because she just like, I've had enough. I mean, you can't keep a kid's attention for too long, to be fair. You can't keep an adult's attention for that long either, to be fair. So you do have that is slightly different. Now, the other mother, in regards to stealing the parents. So in the book, she steals the parents pretty much as soon as Coraline refuses point blank to have the buttons for eyes. But for some reason in the book, it takes Coraline a few days to realise that her parents are not coming back, which I thought weird. I mean, if you're in a situation with your family where your parents do disappear for days, then fine, but it doesn't sound like she's been neglected or anything like that, so I don't know. Because she goes away she calls the police, she keeps looking in the bed, she goes to Miss Spink and Miss Forcible in her world, and she basically says that she's lost her parents. In the film, she tells Miss Spink and Miss Forcible that she's lost her parents, and they then give her the little like green thing that says, oh, it's good for lost things, the little rock with a hole in the middle of it. In the book, they just go, well, we're going to go away for a couple of days as well. And again, they're not bothered that she's being left on her own. Child neglect, just saying. So they say, oh, we're going to go away for our niece with a couple of days, but I'm sure your parents will turn up. As I said before, Coraline calls the police, and they say, you know, he doesn't take it seriously because she says that another mother has stolen their parents. And then she sort of like, after a couple of days, she comes to a conclusion with the cat that unless she goes back through that door, she's not getting them back. Now, in the film, it's a little bit quicker that she understands because she comes through the door. She says, right, nope, not going through again. She comes through the door and sees the groceries that her mum went out to go get rotten on the side. And then she goes to sleep, wakes up and realises that her parents still haven't come back. And then the cat shows her the parents in the mirror. And then from then onwards, she then decides to go back through the door and challenge the mother. Now, it's a bit of a strange one, the challenges. So in regards to the challenges, in both she goes back through. In the film, straight away, she challenges the mother. She says that she's going to find the ghost of the 3 soul children. Oh no, sorry, I lied. So she goes in and she basically throws up a fuss, and she does the same in the book. And the other mother locks her into a mirror, and that's where she meets 3 ghost children. Now they ask her to help release their souls, tell her what's going to happen. In the film, she gets saved by Wybie. In the book, the other mother comes in, takes her out and puts her to bed. Now in the morning, when she wakes up, she realises that she's still there, so she goes downstairs and she challenges the other mother. Now she challenges the other mother for the 3 souls of the children and the parents. In the film, she asks for a clue and the other mother gives it to her. In the book, the other mother just sort of sulks and disappears off the face of the earth. Now, the challenges again are slightly different because in the film she says that in each of the wonders that I made for you, you will find one of the souls, which is fine. In the film, obviously, it's the garden, Mr. Bobinski, and Miss Spink and Miss Forcible. Sorry, in the film, it's, that 3. In the book, it's the other side of the Pink Palace flat. So it's like their flat, but like the other side. And Miss Spink and Miss Forcible, and also the house. And Mr. Bobinski, sorry. So you've got in the film, she goes into the garden and the dad saves her at the last moment and says, here's the soul, because he wants her to be safe, basically. I don't think he wants to be there. Miss Spink and Miss Forcible, she gets that one pretty easy. Mr. Bobinski's in the thing of a rat, and in the mouth of the rat, and she throws the little rock out the window and loses it. And the cat catches the rat and she gets the soul. In the book, a little bit creepier. I'm kind of glad they didn't do this sort of like... So the first one she gets from Miss Spink, Miss Forcible. She then goes into the kitchen and she asks for where's the soul of the second child. Again, I've lied to you. Sorry, I've got it the wrong way around. So in the book, the first one she gets from her bedroom, which is a marble. The second one she gets from Miss Spink and Miss Forcible. It's the third one she gets from Mr. Bobinski, but the mum sends her into the other flat where she's put the white blob of the father, which was hideous, down there to basically kill her. capture her so that the mother can kill her and suck her life soul. Now, in regards to that, that is terrifying. That's some sort of like horror movie. I'm all right, thanks. For a kid's book, kind of scary. But so he basically is punished because he helped her earlier, and she then escapes him and managed to go out. In the film, when she's getting like the one from Mr. Babinski, she sees like the husk of the YB other, and that's not, yeah. For a kid's film, it's a little bit creepier than I thought it would be, to be fair. But Lakia, fantastic films Lakia do. Love the animation. So yeah, you've got the challenges are very different in regards to sort of like where they find it and where she comes across problems. And when she goes back into the house, she realizes that she's not going to be let go even if she wins. So in both, she tricks the other mother into opening up the door, and then she throws the cat at the other mother, takes the snow globe off the shelf because she knows that's where her parents are, and runs up the corridor. Now in the film, the corridor sort of like starts shrinking, and it's, well, just before she runs in the corridor, she actually sort of like, the other mother then turns it into sort of like a web that like drops down, and she's like a spider going up the web, and it's a little bit creepy. I mean, obviously I'm not scared now, I'm 27 years old, but it is a little bit creepy. She manages to sort of like pull the door shut, the hand gets caught, but she doesn't see it. She runs out as the corridor's disappearing, locks the door, goes to bed with the key around her neck. In the book, it's slightly different. So she throws the cat, gets through the door, apologizes to the cat, but the as she's going through the tunnel, it feels like the tunnel's alive and is trying to pull her back, and trying to sort of like make her, basically digest her. And the hand gets chopped off again, but she doesn't realize until later. So then she goes through, realizes that everything's all right. You know, the parents will come back. Parents don't even realize they've lost 2 days. 2 days. Although I forgot what day of the week it is, to be fair. So everything seems all right. But then there's sort of like this, she has this dream in both where the little ghost children are very helpful as usual and go, oh, you know, thank you, miss, for saving us, you know. And she's like, oh, well, I'm glad it's all over. And they're like, not even close. For us, it's all over. For you, yeah, so long as you've got the key. There's only one key. So get rid of the key, you get rid of her. But you've got it around your neck. So in both, you get that insight. Now, in the book, the hand is around for a little bit longer, and it's upsetting the mice for Mr. Babinski. It scratched one of the dogs for Miss Spink and Miss Forcible. She keeps seeing it scuttling around the house. So she decides she's going to trick it. Puts out like a little table on top of the well with like a dolls. Puts the key in the middle and then gets the hand to jump in and disappear into the well. In the film, it's a little bit more like last minute jump. So she knows it's coming for her. She runs away to chuck the key into the well. As she's trying to chuck the key into the well, the hand strangles her with the rope of the key. As that's happening, YB appears out of nowhere, deals with the hand, she smashes the hand, ties it up in a blanket with a rock, puts the key around it and drops it in the well, and then they're happy, they're done. And then it sort of ends, in the book it ends with her going off to primary school or secondary school, I can't remember how old she is. She's absolutely fine. She used to think it was scary, but now she realizes she's faced off the bedlam. So she's absolutely fine. In the film, it ends with them having like a huge garden party, which I thought was quite cute. So there are massive differences. There are loads of things that they added as well. There were changes in the way the script was. I could see again, as I said, why the film decided to build up slowly in regards to the reveal of the world and have her keep going back. But because there are so many differences there, I'm going to give plot a 4 out of 5. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 because even though it did stay majoritarily close to the main plot points, it did have a lot of carte blanche with what it was doing. So it's going to get a 4 out of 5 from me. Now, this is one of the rare occasions, and I will be doing an episode next week where again I saw the film before I read the book. It doesn't happen very often, but it does happen. But 100%, this film stands in its own right. Me and my sister can quote this film back and forth to each other. We can take screenshots of random parts of the film and guess the film correctly. We know it that well. It's a fantastic film. Absolutely amazing. It could be a little bit scarier for the younger children, even though it is classed as a children's film. But the animation, the stop animation that Lakia do, they also do Box Trolls, Paranorman, Kubo and the Two Strings, Missing Link. Brilliant films, each and every one of them. And the animation itself is just fantastic. Like, I love how it looks and how they've done it and the feel to it. So honestly, I would recommend this film to absolutely everyone and anyone. Again, if you've got little children that maybe get a little bit scared easily, maybe don't let them watch it yet, but it is one that is meant for families. But again, the book as well, I would highly recommend reading. It is such a short book. It's a little novella. You can easily get it done in a couple of days. I know I did. So it is something that maybe have a look at as well. But I would definitely recommend this film. I absolutely adore this film. And even though the plot is vastly different, it is a 10 out of 10 for does the film stand in its own right. Now, on to the final one is how well the film took from the book. Now, as I said, setting, characters, that's spot on 100%, but the plot is so different. And it really is. And I mean, you've still got this world and the other world, and you've still got sort of like the same sort of characters in the world, even though they've added some in the film. But I do think that it is quite different. And in regards to the fact that they did need to fluff it out for the film narrative, I still think that maybe they could have stuck a little bit closer probably. But so my final rating is a 5 out of 10 for the overall adaptation. Again, it's a fantastic book, fantastic film. So it's not in any way, this rating is in no way about the book. So that is, of course, my own opinion. If anyone has any comments that they agree or disagree with anything that I've said, anything wants clarifying, want recommendations, do leave it below in the comments. Don't forget to click subscribe and like this video, then you'll be alerted whenever a new one is up. As I said, I tend to try and get them out on Wednesdays, so do just keep that in mind. Now, next week, we've got the contented narrative around a very, very dear film to me, and I'm going to be reading the book as we speak, and it is The Secret Garden, which I am thoroughly looking forward to doing, because this will actually be the first time ever I've read The Secret Garden, so let's see how that goes. So until then, just remember to always keep it contento, and thank you for watching.